Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paul Godfrey. This is not financial or legal advice. This is for educational purposes, and hopefully you enjoy it and it's entertaining. I'm going to start with a bit. Today's main focus is going to be on the Florida Blockchain Taskforce. That's where I'm from. They had their first meeting on Monday this week, and I've just been super busy these last 2 weeks, and I really haven't had a lot of time. And at the very end, I'll address the Ripple lawsuit a bit, the motion to dismiss, getting into that later, but not in this video, a subsequent one. So again, we had our first Florida Blockchain Taskforce meeting, and it was actually very, very interesting. I'm going to go over some basic stuff right here. But in short, there will be a total of 6 meetings, and the one that was held this Monday was the first of 6, so there will be 5 more in the upcoming months. They have to have them all completed within 180 days of the first meeting. So 180 days from this last Monday is when they have to have all 6 meetings completed. It was signed into law by Ron DeSantis, our governor. The way the executive branch works in Florida is you've got a cabinet and you've got the Florida Attorney General, the CFO, the Commissioner on Agriculture, and then also, I believe, the governor, too. So members of the Florida government elected, et cetera, et cetera. But Governor DeSantis put our CFO, Mr. Petronas, CFO Petronas, in charge of starting the blockchain task force, and he there then delegated the duties to the people about whom I'm about to cover. On a side note, every single one of these meetings is televised on the Florida channel when they are about to happen. I plan on attending in person for each meeting, but on the Florida channel right here, thefloridachannel.org, you can go, and when the meeting starts, it's live streamed, so you can actually watch what goes on these meetings if you're interested. I know it's not, a C-SPAN congressional hearing, but it's, still activity at the state level, so I think that is very, very interesting. This is the actual website for it, myfloridacfo.com/division/COS/blockchain task force. So it gives some basic background, the law that was signed. There's a master plan. That phrasing needs to a little sketchy there on that phrasing, but the overall the task force is a good thing. Here are the members, and I've pulled up each of their pictures. I got a picture with the Honorable Ronald Brisset, a legislature, part of the legislature in Florida. He's got lots of experience, so he will be helping draft any potential legislation. Mr. Guinea, he's been in IT for 30 years. A very mild-mannered gentleman. He's the one who's going to prevent us from promising the world. He says, it's great to expect a lot of things, but you can't. Blockchain's not going to fix all the world's problems, so let's not be too strict regulation-wise, et cetera. It was very interesting hearing his thoughts. Mr. Lawson, former Marine, he was nominated the co-chair, volunteered for it, and so nobody else wanted to do it. He also nominated Mr. Brisset, so he is the chair. He will be running the next 5 meetings. Mr. Lawson has a bunch of time in public service. Secretary of the DBPR, Department of Business and Professional Regulation, so he knows what's going on business-wise. Former Marine, so if you like Marines, my dad was a Marine, respect for him. They're hard workers. You have Mr. Polak. He's actually an attorney in Tampa, a large firm called Schutz & Bowen. Started off getting his master's and bachelor's in computer science and worked in Silicon Valley, then only later became an attorney, but he deals heavily in intellectual property, patent law, IT, so he knows what he's talking about. 2017 Tampa Magazine recognized him as the Patent Lawyer of the Year. So when it comes to being able to protect rights, you've probably seen patents from Amazon and Bank of America mentioned by other YouTubers, how they're being registered or attempted to be registered with the U.S. Patent Office. You've got Miss Rhodes. Is she also a lawyer too? No. but she is responsible for the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. Imagine being able to have all those records on a blockchain. That would be really, really interesting to see how that could be publicly accessed, car titles, etc. There is also Jonathan Satter. He has his MBA, I believe. Has spent how many years? 20, 30 years inside and outside. What was it? 28 years in the banking, commercial real estate, and logistic industries. You have the mayor of Miami. Miami is huge. It's the largest city in Florida. He sees a budget. I think it's a multi-billion-dollar budget. There are thousands of people in the employ by the city of Miami. So he manages and governs a lot, and especially things if you're looking at, recording land titles and how that work with the public system, the clerks in each city, and how cities would handle it. He's got a good handle on how that would be a large-scale application and adoption. And then you've got Miss Westcott, and she does insurance. 20 years of insurance regulatory positions in Florida. So she knows a bunch about background of insurance. And I could pull up the Florida statutes right now. Let's see if I can go ahead and do this. Florida statutes. Pull up the legislature. This is the legislative branch. So, for instance, you've got a subparagraph on, where is it? Insurance. That's actually, I litigate insurance. So she knows about all of these parts of the statutes. I believe is Miss Rhodes do the consumer protection? Department of Highway Safety Motor Vehicles. Forward-thinking policies. She's done updating multi-year IT projects, which is really good, especially in the blockchain area. So a lot of these areas, public lands and property, all of that will definitely be thought about, affected. One of the interesting proposals that occurred during the blockchain meeting was that they are going to go over the 6 things, but one of them was for higher education. I thought that was really interesting. They're going to promote secondary and post-secondary education in blockchain, especially in all its various forms, how it can relate to public service, how it will potentially relate to insurance, it will relate to state agencies. During the public speaking session afterwards, somebody brought up and mentioned how they were trying to work on IDs issued on the blockchain, and from my understanding, that's been one of the more difficult issues to overcome, is to verify an identity. So I think that's very interesting regarding education in general and promoting education in this sphere. So this all aims, leans towards adoption, regulatory certainty. Again, this is at the state level. So just because Congress may or may not pass a token taxonomy act, identifying certain digital assets as a security, that's not the end-all be-all of regulations that can be out there. There's, as you can see from here, if there's issues on banking, let's see, we close this. Will that close it? No, it just leads to it. Legal expense insurance. Here we go. Banks and banking, commercial relations, real estate, trust and estates. There's a wallet by I don't have it up. I'll pull it up next time. A type of wallet that updates with you, so you can pass it on in probate for when you pass away, you have a will, etc. So that has to do with estates and trusts. There's just going to be so much, and all of these areas are generally reserved to the police powers. So this is all state regulation that's going on here in Florida, and I'm really excited about it. Now that we got that all out of the way, I don't want this to run too long. We're going to look at a few things. If you want to get a quick background, I'm trying to keep my analysis of these cases pretty at a very simple level, because not everybody has a law degree and a higher education. This gentleman right here, you should definitely give him a follow. His name is Jake. Hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly. Travinsky. and he's got like a 17-part tweet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you're looking for a nice, quick, brief succinct description on some of the things going on in the case, by all means, go ahead and check him out. Give him a follow. He knows what he's talking about. Again, I want to do mine a bit slower. Hopefully, help. My purpose is to help you all understand what's going on the legal side of things. A few things I wanted to cover is this attorney right here, Miss Hartnett. She is the beast of an attorney about whom I was speaking in my last Ripple video. Here she is. Education, Harvard Law, Harvard College, admissions, California, New York, 2 of the hardest bar exams you can pass. Government service, Deputy Assistant Attorney General, worked on a lot of federal programs, Affordable Care Act, Dodd-Frank. Started off with a $1.4 billion fraud trial, and clerked under the late Justice Stevens and Justice Garland, both of whom you may have heard of recently in the news. Well, not recently, but he passed away and was replaced. And then Justice Garland, there was some contention about that. I'm not trying to get into politics here, but both of those are very esteemed judges and justices. Well, esteemed justice and a esteemed judge. So she knows what she's doing. And then get rid of all of that. We can go ahead. Do I still have them open? So real quickly, the deadlines. They can respond to the motion. They have to file a response to the motion to dismiss. If they are to file one by November 4th, the plaintiffs get to file a response. And then the response to the response is called a reply. So the reply is the response to the response, and that's due by December 4th, 2019. I actually have the MTD here. Again, I've been super busy, so I just started reading it. A lot of it is exhibits. Not a lot of it, but so Exhibit A starts on page 44, so only quote-unquote 43 pages to go over. And again, we're not even going to see, at a minimum, I presume a reply will be filed by December 4th, 2019, and then a ruling sometime in late December, maybe early January. And then, if it's successful, that's the end of this case. The motion to dismiss can get rid of all the counts. If it's not successful, then they will actually have to file a responsive pleading called an answer. So there's a complaint and then an answer, but you only have to file an answer if the court doesn't dismiss the complaint. So this is an attempt to dismiss the complaint. I'll get more into that later. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this was informative for you. I will try to keep you abreast of the Florida Blockchain Task Force now, in addition to the Ripple case and also the Kleiman case. I need to check that out. See if there's been any updates. I do know that there was a 30-day notice to see if they could settle, probably because they had lost all the pertinent factual parts on the Kleiman case. But that's enough for now. Hope you all have a good evening. Be well and be kind to each other. Thanks for listening. Oh, yeah, please like and subscribe. So say that too.